Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash. Double honor as the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who are teaching the truth and sincerity. And a shout out to Yakims out there in the four quarters of the earth who proclaim this truth. Brakah the Yahweh, Brakah the Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem, Rakakadash, Brakatum. So, as you can see, Odyssey is down and you can't play videos from there, and I definitely can't upload videos. I was still trying to, throughout this week, I've been trying to put my videos on Odyssey. So Odyssey's out. I can only get feeds from Rumble and BitChute, and of course, YouTube while that's still working. And those are the ones I can upload videos to. So when Odyssey's back up and running, I'll have my videos on there. If you are watching me on Odyssey, Salakia, but as you can tell, though, right now Odyssey is not letting anything through and nothing's playing on there. At least over here on this side. I don't know what things are like over there on the other side, but nonetheless, though, taking a good look here. Well, we're always, to be on the lookout for false prophets. I mean, this is the year of apostasy, right? And of sellouts. And so this is coming from Apostle Tahar. It's a re-upload. To watch out for this guy. He has a bad report with the Saints of Jersey, so I'm going to play a good portion of that and then go on to the next one, because the Most High is deleting people. Okay, people are getting deleted, this year. If you hadn't been seeing everything that's been going on in the news and the fact that World War III has been happening for quite some time. The nuclear destruction can't come until the MOTB is mandated, but you can see everything leading up to that. Make sure this is recording, and it is. So, without further ado.
Shalom, give all praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahweh, Bashem, Hakadah, Shalom to the 44,000. And the rest of it, lift up this Shalom to you all. And I'm going to title this video, what does the Bible say about birth pains? So I made it easy on myself. I typed in, what does the Bible say about birth, scriptures on birth pains. And the first site that came up was openbible.info, which I used before. Like if, for example...
Let me fix the audio, Salakia. That's not his voice.
And you put in, what does the Bible say about UFOs? And they'll give you, all the scriptures that they give you is the same scriptures that we use. So I'm looking at it like this particular group, they follow us. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and prove that. Let me do this. Let me do this real quick. The elders and the bishops and so forth, they've been using the term, in GMS, they've been using the term polycrisis, which is a series of crises taking place around the world in this country. UFO sightings, and that's just Zechariah 5, as well as other scriptures, many scriptures. We have about, he's right off the top of the dome, there's like 20, got to be 25, 30 scriptures on so-called UFO sightings, Zechariah 5, that shall enter into the house of the thief. So anyway, let me put in the word UFOs. UFOs. So that's what the Bible says about UFOs. Check out these are all the scriptures that we use, even in this order, pretty much, sometimes. You're familiar with this, of course. It describes in detail what these ships look like and the angels that control these ships, these vehicles, these chariots. Zechariah 5, that's classic. And then I lifted up my eyes and saw, behold, a flying roll. And he said to me, let's see if thou, I answered, I see a flying roll. Then it even says that the angel said, when you open it up, it said that, matter of fact, I'll open it up. And I did a video recently on this. It said the shape of the ship, I wanted to go to the full, read full chapter. This is the first time I'm opening this site up to get more detail. Okay, I wanted to get where it says Ephah. Give me a second. I look at the line coming forward on my wings. Sure. You have to read it in King James. Keep saying it's the basket. Okay, if you read it in the King James, the word that comes up is ephod, and that's a measuring pot, so you can understand. So I went to the word ephod in Google, and it gave an image of a classic 1950s UFO sighting. So the angel said, this is what these UFOs look like. So I'm not going to go all into it, but let's come on back. We use this precept, we use this scripture. We damn sure use this one, Elijah being taken up into a whirlwind. Ezekiel 1 again. Acts 1:9, the Lord being beamed up into a cloud, which is a ship. These are all the scriptures that we use in the same order, pretty much. Psalm 68:17, the chariots of the Most High, twice 10,000, thousands upon thousands. Yahweh is among them. Sinai is now in the sanctuary. It says in the King James as in Sinai. I'm not getting into scripture topic on UFOs. So the Lord coming down in a gigantic ship. Son of Man coming in the clouds, ships. Isaiah. These are all the scriptures that we've been using for years. Nephilim, ships, they don't understand this.
Yeah, they think Nephilim are fallen angels. You know, again,
Okay.
that's confusion. Where are we? City of confusion, right?
So let's come on back. Birth pains.
And there's 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. Are we not in that?
Do this again. Let's see if it changes up. Okay, so America is now, you know, when America is talking about they're being blessed and make America great again, America is being cursed right now. America is experiencing plagues right now, just as Egypt. What is that? That's in 2nd Ezra's. Give me a second. Let me give you this here. Stuff that we know. 2nd Ezra's. It's either 15 or 16. Give me a second, y'all. Okay. Okay, well, let's read this here, 10th verse. 2nd Ezra's 15. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. We're at slaughter right now. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land. Egypt, this Egypt, for the Most High is going to deliver us. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretch out arm, and smite Egypt. This is talking about America. Remember, the Bible is written in code. And smite Egypt. What is a smite? To curse, to plague. Polycrisis. Right? Birth pains. Women in travail. Smite Egypt with plagues as before. So as before is the actual Egypt, which is Mizraim. So this is the new Egypt. Isaiah chapter 19. With plagues as before. Now the major plagues were what? 10 major plagues. That was the Most High cursed Egypt.
Well, the crops had failed in the original curses, right?
You got the screw worm, you got tornadoes, you got all kinds of things going on. Polycrisis. And a lot of them are man-made. The elite doing this, they're destroying, they want to get rid of, they want to bring humanity down to a number of about 500 million.
Yep,
The
500
population
million.
of planet Earth is 8 billion. So they want to destroy we're talking about 7 billion plus people. 7.5 billion people. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. But it says in the scriptures, Matthew 24, or there'll be no flesh to save. So their plan is to get rid of billions of people. And people don't see it. I had to get a tow, right? Got into a little accident. So it's a Jake dude, 31 years old. So we talk about women, we talk about everything. I initiated the conversation. Then we're talking about this country and Nero. And the guy's praising Nero. Nah, Nero, he's a great business. And I want to say, shut the fuck up, nigga. You don't know what the fuck's going on. And that's why I asked him, how old are you? He said 30. I said, man, you a baby. You haven't did anything. We were friendly arguing. And I said, see, that's why, see, you can't see shit because you're just 31. When you hit the sick, well, unless you come to the truth. But he couldn't see nothing. And then I asked him this question. I said, do you believe that the government uses mind control over you? He said, no. I said, what's the meaning? He set his ass up. I said, what's the definition of the word government? He said, you tell me. I said, the word government actually means mind control. So that all the words that they can use, they're going to say, well, let's use the term mind control. So what does the government do? It controls your mind. How do we know that? It's called mind control. You know? It's called mind control. But because you don't know, and that's how they get stupid people in America, you know? It says, and will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, America shall mourn. You hear all these Edomites crashing out, right? It says, Egypt shall mourn, and a lot of these MAGA people, they're crying, they're crashing out. Well, that's how, there's an old joke. How do you know a politician or a lawyer is lying? When your lips are moving. So anytime a politician says something, there's lies, and they'll give you some truth mixed in with lie. That's how you present a lie. You give people the truth, and you mix in a lie. You give them a truth-lie sandwich. It says, Egypt shall mourn, and Egypt is mourning, not the super rich, because this Nero is only concerned about the super elite rich among the small hats and others. The tech people, the multi-big, he's only concerned, he's not concerned about the average, hard-working, MAGA hat-wearing person. He don't give it, he pulled a fast one on you. That's how he got in the office. They had the sister, the newscaster chick, pretty woman. She was interviewing him in front of a tractor. And then he said that the elections were rigged. They were rigged. You didn't ask anybody, they were rigged. So she kept saying, where's the evidence? You don't need no evidence. The elections are rigged. You don't know, if you don't see that, you're stupid. Like, this guy's a fuck. Anybody that listens to anything this guy says, you know, short gain for long, short pain will turn into long gain, which nobody believes that shit. He said before he became president, the night before he swore in, or the night before he was nominated second time to be the president, he said, he said everything that they all wanted to hear. I'm going to bring down prices immediately. Everything, you're going to make so much money, you're going to stop giving me money, I got too many blessings. And all that shit that he said, the opposite happened. So he lied. He absolutely lied. Let me tell you something, man, about women. Me dealing with women, I lie my ass off, man. If I have to, I'll tell a woman what they want to hear. So I can get what I want. I promise her the world. Does that mean I'm going to give her the world necessarily? No. But I have promised women I'll tell them what they want to hear. You know? So that's what a politician does. And you idiots haven't woken up to that. It says, I'm going to get to the main subject. It says, Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. So is America being blessed? Hell to the goddamn no. It's being cursed. Under this thing called polycrisis. Look the word up. Somebody put the word in the definition of the word polycrisis. So anyway, let me do this. And the reason why I did this video, let me come back to, let me come over here. Where am I? Okay. Come back over here. All right. I made it easy for myself. So this is what inspired me to do this video. This is a video put up by the beloved elder, Damar Shapat. Okay, he's been in New York, but what, 10, 12 times? So anyway, I didn't subscribe to him, so I immediately subscribed to him and receive all his notifications. We just survived a whirlwind / tornado. Okay, so let me just go ahead and play from the beginning. Then I'll read you some of these precepts from this list.
Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Kakudash. Double honors to our apostles at Great Millstone, honestly brothers out there pushing the word in love and sincerity to wake up the elect. Peace be to the elect and their families. Those that change according to the word, calling on the names of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, come trouble. We say peace be unto you brothers and sisters out there listening and learning as well. May the Spirit continue to bless and keep you all. And this is going to be a quick video. I'm about to stop, but you know, I'm down here. I'm up here in northern Indiana, and the Lord just sent some judgment through this place. You know, the Lord allowed a tornado to come down and wreck some shit out here. You know, while we was in the midst, but none of the brothers stayed in the area that was hit. But even like I'm like at the edge of the city, at the edge of the city is like it's a body of water behind me, and all the way 61 blocks away, that tornado knocked the power out all the way from Maryville, Indiana to Lake Michigan. You know, from Maryville all the way to I'm right by Lake Michigan. You know, in Indiana. So that tornado had to be powerful. Roofs torn off houses, cars flipped. You know, we got all kind of reports of power lines, trees. I saw a tree limb sticking out of the ground as if somebody threw it like a javelin. And the tornado was, what, 56 blocks away? Well, about 56 blocks away. You know, so for a tree limb to come from that far away and stick straight up out of the ground as if somebody hurled it, it shows you the power of the Lord. We've been getting reports in of roofs being taken off houses, people being swept out of their homes, homes flattened, apartment buildings, all with no roofs, people displaced, power lines down. I'm stuck in the apartment complex that I'm in because trees and power lines are down. They won't even let us leave. It's only one way into this complex. They will not let us leave because the power lines are arcing. I'm gonna play this video. The fire chief came down here and talked to us. Hey, you said the power lines down so bad. You see them what? You said the power lines down so. Wow. Yeah, that'll blow somebody's vehicle up. Yeah. So the fire line where I'm currently trapped at, there's power lines down, and the police department.
I didn't know you was trapped. You'll be out in a little while.
Down there, they will not let anybody out. They're not letting anybody out. People are sitting. I'm charging my phone because there's no power. I'm in the car charging my phone, so I said I might as well get a lesson in because there's no power. But they will not let anybody out of this complex because there were power lines and the power lines are popping or arcing with electricity. And if you go down there, you can potentially get your car blown up. So they turning people around. It's it's one street out of the apartment complex, but it's a whole street on the end. They won't let you go down either side because either side gets you into the city, but they won't let you go down either side. The Lord sent some fucking. The prophets be saying the Lord will send some judgment through here. The Lord sent some judgment through here. You understand? And these people out here with no power. I'm gonna play a video that was sent to me. I got it.
You suffering the plagues now, Esau. You're suffering these plagues. You don't want to admit that you're an Edomite. First of all, we're not the Israelites, and you so-called white people, according to vocab and others, that you're not the Edomites. You're done away with. You guys are not the Israelites. So who are the Israelites? There's people over there. Ain't nobody believed in people over there. The people. The Malanasses of Egypt. What was this, back in the 60s? He made a statement. How can the Judea leave Palestine being black and come back white? Everybody knows that you're not the people. Now you got even Edomite Christians saying that Jesus would have to be a Palestinian.
Yep. And they heard Richie from Boston say that the Palestinians are the Israelites. So, either way, though, as you can see, he's smiting Egypt as before. Now, I know that there's a guy that he wanted to get to, but, the rest of the video is, of course, on Apostle Har's channel. What is the 666 Mark II? But there's more, right? There's always more. The Most High is deleting people, right? People are being judged. And that's a harsh judgment. So, You know, you want to be on the blessed side of him. Yes, you're going to go through some trials, but you want to be on the blessed side of him. So, you know, you can see that the brothers were definitely preserved. And I just told you about a fire about a little over a week ago, and I was saved by the fire, right? You know, the fire didn't consume, even though he was under evacuation. It wasn't a full-blown evacuation order, but, you know, standby. We was on standby, ready to be evacuated. But, you know, Ottawa and Rajazah, you know, we were able to survive that. They got the fire down. But you see, we're going to go through some things, you know, but the Most High will deliver his elect, if you're part of the elect. Now, I believe this video is a little older, but, you know, you can definitely tell, though, that Most High be deleting people. And that's what's happening. You got that World Cup going on, and there's a lot of protests there. You got protests going on in, you know, especially in the UK about what's going on with the Israeli state. You know, you got a lot of people protesting what the Israeli state is doing over there. There's uproars of the people worldwide. And in the midst of that, you got shootings everywhere. I mean, things are being turned up.
Good evening. An elderly couple have been found dead in their West Auckland paddock, believed to have been killed by a ram.
Their son found them in Waitakere this morning after he hadn't heard from them, Laura Tupine reports. A home of 8 years in rural Waitakere with sheep and cows rented by a couple, retired hobby farmers in their 80s, who today found dead in their back paddock. Their bodies, covered by white and black sheets, lay metres apart with a ram nearby. A family spokesperson says the woman's son found them this morning. They hadn't been able to get a hold of them for a couple of days, which was unusual.
They're good people. Over 80, they don't deserve this stuff. That is what it is, right?
Early this afternoon, the couple were put on stretchers. Family said their goodbyes before they were put in a hearse and driven away.
I can say that it's not suspicious. There's no one being saw in connection to this release to an animal. And that's it. Simply that's it.
The News Hub understands that animal was a ram. Animal behaviour expert Dr. Elsa Flint says people should be wary around rams, especially at this time of year.
Rams can be really dangerous, so especially in breeding season, which is now the short-day breeders, because it's when they come at speed, charging you, that the danger is really.
Her pet ram charged at this fence and broke it, demonstrating the true power behind him. Police say the circumstances around how this Waitakere couple died are still unexplained. The family is in deep, deep shock at their sudden loss.
Laura joins us now. Kia ora, Laura, and the police have sent an update.
Yes, police arrived at the property just before 7:30 this morning. They have confirmed there was a ram alive in the paddock alongside those two bodies. There was also a third person who had received a minor injury after being attacked by that same ram. Now this morning, two neighbours told me they heard two loud bangs around that time. Police say when they entered that paddock, they too were confronted by the animal, and after a risk assessment, they shot the ram dead. Now they are continuing to investigate exactly what happened that led to these two people to die in this paddock, and they'll be doing that on behalf of the coroner.
Laura, tonight.
Wow. Even these animals is tired with you devils, man. Even these animals are tired with you devils. But first and foremost, when all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yoshua, Ba'ashem Kakdash, the bond apostles, and the elders, and be most known for giving us this 100% truth. And blessed be to your light. Hey man, these animals is tired with you devils, man. And I believe our brother made a video about this lesson as well. And I believe it was a sheep, man. Amen. It was a sheep that lead those two individuals. So, amen. Sheep's leading people, man. Sheep's leading people as well. And these animals tired with you devils, man. You devils gotta go, man. You devils gotta go. And at the end of the day, this is all judgment from Yahweh Shemashah. This is Deuteronomy 32, in verse 39. It says, see now that I, even I am he, and there is no God with me. I kill, and I make alive. I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. So they, amen. It's all judged from Yahweh Shemashah. The Lord kill and make alive, man. And those two individuals, amen, they got judged at the end of the day, man. They got judged at the end of the day. This is Zephaniah 3, verse 5. It says, the just Lord, Yahweh Shemashah, is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity every morning. Doeth he bring his judgment to light? He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. So at the end of the day, amen, Lord bringing judgment every day, man. Remember, Lord makes no mistake, man. Lord does not miss. He makes no mistake. Everybody getting judged, man. In the news, everybody getting it, man. You people on the news getting judged. Amen. Right now, as this lesson being made, somebody's getting judged right now. Somebody's getting judged right now. That's why you gotta fear about your shop, man. Because, hey, people out here getting deleted by these wild animals. People getting burned alive in the car. You remember that video everybody was making? Of some jig was stuck in the Tesla and got burned alive? Hey man, look at that, man. The Lord's the reason why he couldn't escape. That's why you gotta fear Yahweh Shema Shah, man. You gotta fear Yahweh by Shema Shah. Because, hey man, you don't want to be in that situation. You do not want to be in that situation, man. Being burnt alive, man. Oh, man. That's probably one of the worst ways you can go out, man. It's crazy, man. That's why you gotta fear Yahweh by Shema Shah. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 39 and verse 28. It says, there be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes, in time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them, fire and hail and famine and death. All these were created for vengeance, teeth of wild beast, and scorpions, serpents, and the sword, punishing the wicked to destruction. And I think they aim that shit with nothing but spirits created for vengeance, man. A spirit created for vengeance, man. And you're seeing all kinds of news, man, about these wild animals attacking the owners of the pets. You're seeing all kinds of crazy stuff, man. In the news, like the elder would say, in the news, you're seeing these wild dogs turning on their own people. It's crazy, man. And that's why you gotta fear the Lord, man, because the Lord will put a spirit on your animals to attack you, man. And you've seen a lot of videos, man, being made, man, about that. These wild animals attacking people, these wild animals deleting people. People getting judged out here. Hey, we gotta fear Yahweh Shema Shah, man.
And think about what month it is. Esau be, they made it a whole fucking month. That faggot shit, the alphabet groups. Pride Month. Yeah. So the Most High is really turning up judgments.
You thought those two individuals, they got deleted by a sheep. You thought they gonna get gold. You think they're gonna be deleted by a sheep every day? Come on, man, a sheep. Out of all ways, these people never thought they're gonna get deleted by a sheep. That's why you gotta fear the Lord, man. This is why you gotta fear Yahweh Shema Shah, man. Spirit created vengeance, man. You can watch that lot of these niggas today, man. Because they're wicked, man. The Lord putting a spirit on these people too, man. Go crazy, man. People are through, man. These people are through. That's why I gotta fear Yahweh Shema Shah, man. Because right now, someone's getting judged, man. And remember, there's no respect of person with the Lord, man. Because I think anybody can get it. This is Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 31. It says, it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. Amen. It's a fearful thing, man. Again, you thought those two individuals, those two individuals probably never thought that they're going to get deleted by a sheep. They probably never thought that their animals would attack them. But look now. That's why you gotta fear the Lord, man. The Lord will put a spirit on one of these animals meant to attack you. The Lord will put you in a situation where you never thought you would be in, man. And the Lord be an example would be that people, man, out here. That's why you gotta fear the Lord, man. That's why you gotta fear Yahweh Shema Shah. And a lot of you guys that call yourself Israelites, you really don't fear the Lord, man. Because y'all play too much fucking games, man. You don't fear the Lord. You play too much fucking games, man. Again, people, right now, as this video is being made, somebody's getting judged right now, man. Somebody's getting judged right now. This is why you gotta fear the Lord, man. That's what we're gonna keep saying, that, man. Fear Yahweh Shema Shah, man. Fear Yahweh Shema Shah. Because you're seeing a lot of news, man. Look at the news, man, right now, man. All kinds of crazy shit going on, man. People getting judged out here, man. You even got animals leading people, man. And yes, Lord put those spirit on those animals to do what they gotta do, man. Because at the end of the day, those animals, hey, man, spirit created prevention, man. Spirits created preventions. So this is why I gotta figure out by showing the show. But anyways, I praise you for satisfying. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kakadash, the bonds apostles, and the elders, and the Gemostone for giving us this 100% truth. And Shalom.
So there it is. The Most High is deleting people, and if you can't see that, man, I don't know what world you're living in, but you're oblivious to everything, and the Most High most certainly ain't dealing with you if you can't see what's going on. And there are so many people that don't see what's going on. They think, oh, there's a peace deal, oh, this war, it's been over with, they're going to finally do a peace deal. Britain seizes Russian oil tanker in English Channel amid rising tensions with Moscow. Looks like that's flaring up again, right? You know, so when you start stealing tankers and you start putting embargoes and you start messing with their economy, yeah, that's going to create a seismic event. In a post published on social media platform X on Sunday, Stammer announced the capture of the vessel, saying it was part of a Russian so-called shadow fleet. British Ministry of Defense said the operation lasted 6 hours and that the vessel would be provisionally moved to an anchorage off the south coast of England and will be monitored for any environmental or safety concerns. The seizure comes amid a series of similar maritime actions involving Russian-linked vessels. On the 1st of June, the French Navy, with British support, intercepted and seized a Russian oil tanker called the Tagar. In March, French armed forces captured the Dignan in Marseille. And in January, the Grinch was detained, with all the vessels described by European authorities as part of Russia's so-called shadow fleet. So they're stealing the oil because Europe is desperate for oil. So they're stealing Russian oil. So eventually that's going to provoke a response from Russia. But like everything else, though, they're going to give you the illusion of peace, right? A peace deal. Sweden sees Russia-NATO conflict in relatively near future. Well, you think? You think with all the capturing of their vessels that they're just going to idly stand by? Not to mention all the weapons that are being still sent into Ukraine till this day. Russia could test NATO's alliance unity and its all-for-one collective defense commitments in the relatively near future. Sweden's Defense Commission said, sounding the alarm in a fresh report issued Friday. In the blunt interim report cited Radio Sweden, the Commission made it clear that Moscow's aggression against the West is no longer a distant threat, but that an armed attack against Sweden and of our allies cannot be ruled out. Yeah, they're going to do some sort of response. So, for example, Russia, Putin said in a fresh address to Russian service members on Friday, stated, definitely it was they who carried out the coup d'etat in Ukraine, which forced us to take the people of Crimea under protection. When they started the war, they started bombing Donetsk using warplanes. So, yeah, it's not too distant a future, right? So you can see some of their practices here. All this is near Russian soil. So you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, right? Famines, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places. Yeah, we're hearing all those things. You know, because without fertilizer, that's going to cause a famine, right? You're hearing about that. But wait till it starts really, really hitting, right? Everything's going to be turned up. You know, and again, you know, Esau, you know, especially here in Babylon, is celebrating that you-know-what month. Trump mulls farmer aid as fertilizer and fuel costs bite. President Trump said on Thursday that he is considering support for U.S. farmers struggling with high fertilizer prices. Oh yeah, he's going to help you. As rising energy costs and market volatility continue to squeeze producers across the farm belt. I thought you said that you're not worried about those people, that all you care about is whether Iran has a nuclear weapon. Isn't that what you told them? You say one thing, you do another, right? I'm looking at a form of help, Trump told reporters at the White House without giving details. Further prices, he's going to give you a false hope, right? Fertilizer prices have eased from recent highs, with granular urea prices in New Orleans falling to $453.50 per short ton, their lowest level since February 6th, reported Bloomberg Green Markets on June 8th. That was down 36% from a mid-April peak. So he's giving you the idea, that everything's good and that we're getting the prices back down, that the war is over, right? And then they are pummeling the question: is an earthquake, a massive earthquake, about to hit California? I'm sure you've heard about the 10.5. You know, the not too distant future, they made movies about this. San Andreas fault, you know. So Redacted's looking into this, you know, this idea that there could be a not too distant earthquake, because it's long overdue, if you listen to meteorologists, etc. So here we are. Earthquakes in diverse places and the possibility of another one.
So sometimes quiet means pressure is building, something bad is going to happen. That's exactly what this new model is suggesting here. Researchers found on a place called the Cajon Pass, which is northeast of Los Angeles. This is where the San Andreas Fault and the San Jacinto Fault come
There it
close
is.
together. According to Micah Hanks, our friend over at the debrief, says scientists now describe this area as an earthquake gate. That means Cajon Pass could determine whether this next major quake stays confined to one fault or whether it like jumps across both fault systems at the same time. That is the nightmare scenario. And what this means is that a joint rupture crossing both the San Andreas Fault and the San Jacinto faults would be far more severe than a quake limited to one fault. It would threaten the greater Los Angeles area, San Bernardino, Riverside, Coachella Valley, critical infrastructure corridors that carry highways, rail lines, nuclear energy systems, regular energy systems, transportation networks through Southern California. So this is not just about people feeling the ground shake. This is a total devastation. This is about highways, railroads, power, fuel, water, emergency services, the entire system that keeps Southern California moving. So according to this new study, the stress on the San Jacinto, San Bernardino section has reached 3.6 megapascals. That is higher than any value seen anywhere in their 1,000-year simulation. And the nearby Mojave South section of the San Andreas Fault is also highly stressed, according to their data. So here's the part that should get everyone's attention. It's not just the stress is high, it's the stress on these two fault systems appears to be lining up in a way that historically has preceded like much larger ruptures. So in other words, these two faults may be entering the kind of configuration that makes a much bigger earthquake possible, like a mega quake. Very similar, actually, to what we have been reporting here in Italy. The Campi Flegrei and all those in the volcanic disturbances, lining up multiple volcanic disturbances underneath Italy. So scientists are not saying that they can predict the exact day, the month, or the year this happens. No one can. But what they are saying is that the system is critically stressed right now, and they haven't seen data like this in 1,000 years. Of course, Californians have long been told to prepare for the big one. When I lived there back in 1999 and year 2000, it was like a joke, like, get ready. I remember moving there, people told me, like, don't hang pictures above the bed in case of earthquakes. I remember being awakened at 2 in the morning. I sleep very lightly as it is. And so when I moved there, and I'd never experienced an earthquake before, and suddenly, like, at 2 in the morning, I'm like, what the heck? These small little earthquakes are just so routine. It's like it's part of daily life. No one cares. But this study is different. Scientists reconstructed this 1,000-year record and studied all of it. They used geological evidence. They used radiocarbon dating. They even used tree ring anomalies, which I found interesting, and also historical records. They fed that all into a physics-based 4-dimensional earthquake cycle model, and that basically showed them, it basically simulated how all of this stress builds up, and then how previous earthquakes redistributed the stress, and how the deeper layers of the crust slowly relaxed after the earthquake. So in other words, they didn't just look at one fault line on a map. They reconstructed the entire stress history of Southern California's fault system. And what they discovered is that the stress levels today are at record highs for the last 1,000 years. So now the obvious question is this. I couldn't help but thinking this, so putting all this information together. Are California officials ready for this? We witnessed their total failure during the wildfires. This is going to be much bigger. It's not going to be like a small local emergency confined to some...
And those are going off everywhere.
Or a coastline. It's going to be it could be a national crisis. I'm reading right now Annie Jacobson's book on nuclear war, and it is an eye-opening. She lays out an entire scenario for nuclear war. I don't know how many of you read this book. It's really disturbing and eye-opening. But one of the things she says is once this war breaks out, once a nuclear war breaks out, and emergency officials get on a radio, they are not going to be able to do anything for you. What are they going to do? They'll tell you over the radio,
duck and cover,
protect your family, have water on hand, and also make sure that your morals are in check. Literally, she points that out in the book. Make sure your morals are in check, meaning don't break into your neighbor's house and start stealing stuff.
Yeah, because they made a movie called Jericho about a nuclear war too.
Looting buildings all over the place. So make sure your morals are in check. Make sure you have water on hand.
Well, they still have yet to retrofit the roads in Oakland and Berkeley that caused so many people to die in fires because they couldn't get out.
Still?
A lot of those are still small, windy roads that you would not be able to get out of. There's really no way to do it. Like, think of, my grandfather's house in Castro Valley.
Yeah, like 880 when that bridge collapsed.
There's just no way, to get out of there when the highways are
stuck
packed.
in Oakland.
So I have no idea what the plan is
in
there.
Berkeley.
You make a terrifying point that California has not shown its strength to be emergency response. So how are they going to...
I feel better if it was like, hey, California's got its shit together. Like, look how they handled the wildfire situation,
Well, the government will put arduous burdens on small businesses to retrofit. That's not to say they know that any of that will work. It's expensive. The requirements are high, but we still don't know what they would do for the average family, for the average escape route, that kind of thing.
I mean, it's terrifying. I mean, we keep hearing, just over and over and over again, this idea that the big one is coming, and you get these small little clusters of quakes. But now what's scary to me is that there's this silence, and these two different fault lines that could converge and cause this massive devastation.
So, like everything else, that could happen, the big one, to hit California, again, we're in a time where the Most High is deleting people, and like everything else, he has shown, even in my life and in others' lives, that even in the midst of the judgments, his people will be protected. Just like, you know, at the very beginning, the man who survived, you know, the brother that survived a tornado, you know, survived all that, you know, during a blackout, was able to charge his phone in his car and still do a lesson, you know. Once an Arab oil embargo victim, the U.S. has become world's top oil exporter. See, it's always been about the oil and who controls the oil, and right now they're saying, this article is saying that the U.S. is the #1 exporter now. The U.S. has become the world's largest oil exporter, surpassing Saudi Arabia. Well, yeah, because Saudi Arabia can't get their oil out with the blocks of both the Strait of Hormuz and the Houthis blocking the Suez Canal. How are they getting their stuff out? They're not able to sell. U.S. exports reached 10.5 billion barrels per day in May, leading globally. This shift gives the U.S. significant leverage in global energy and political arenas. The United States has become the world's largest oil exporter, upending a decades-old order long dominated by Saudi Arabia and Russia, a shift that tightens American companies' grip on energy markets as DC's war with Iran reshapes global energy trade. Yeah, so like everything else though, especially after the seizure of Venezuela, then you could say, yeah, they control that, and they still want Cuba, and they still want Greenland, they want a lot of things. You know, Trump has ambitions for a lot of things. You know, he's going to hit them hard, you know, and he just killed a so-called drug cartel over the weekend, right? You know, in Venezuela, another assassination. And he's been bombing fishing boats, saying that they're narco-terrorists. 1 year ago, the Middle East changed. Nobody knows what comes next. The first direct Iran-Israeli war ended an era of shadow conflict and opened a far more uncertain chapter. Well, we know what's about to happen. You see, we're not walking around in darkness thinking that, oh, this is just like Iraq or this is just like Syria, and that eventually Iran's going to fall. We know better than that. That you know, as they keep on pushing more and more, and the least of the flock drawing everybody into this war, which the rest of the world, they don't understand these prophecies, but we've been giving you the understanding. We've been given this understanding as to what's going to happen. And that before the war fully goes into full throttle, that they're going to usher in the New World Order, the MOTB, which is going to be mandated. And we go over that time and time again. Exactly 1 year ago, on the 13th of June, 2025, the world entered a new reality. A new chapter was opened in the history of the Middle East, in the history of Iran and the long-running confrontation between Iran and Israel. Well, it's not. It is a long history. Do you know how long that they've been going at each other? When you understand who Amalek is and you understand who Persia is in the scriptures, it's like, well, they've been at war for over 800 years, or maybe even longer than that. Yeah, way longer than that. You know, they were. You know, and that's going into the BC times, etc. You know, 800 years. You know, so it's a long history. You know, and we was joint rulers with Persia back then during the Persian Empire, and we was putting heavy havoc on Amalek, and they ain't forgot that. What had spent decades unfolding as a covert, hybrid, and indirect struggle suddenly took the form of a direct military confrontation. Until that moment, the conflict between Iran and Israel had followed a different pattern. It was largely a shadow war, a context through intelligence operations, cyber attacks, strikes on strategic assets and allied forces, proxy networks, diplomatic pressure, sanctions, mutual threats, and occasional missile exchanges. For years, both sides had avoided crossing the threshold into full-scale open warfare, preferring limited operations, regional partners, and carefully collaborated actions. But last year changed everything. That balance was shattered on the 13th of June 2025. Israeli state effectively moved the conflict into a new phase. From that point toward, this was no longer an episode in a cycle of regional tensions. It became a direct attack against Iran as a state. This is why the June 2025 war marked a historic turning point. For the first time, a confrontation that had largely existed in covert and limited from evolved into an open military conflict between two of the Middle East's most influential powers. Well, yeah, because it's really about the Greater Israel Project, and Iran is in the way of it. You know, And they're going to do everything they can to get Iran out of the way, which means even going after Turkey, you know, because Turkey plays a significant role as well. Remember, Israeli state said once they had their way with Iran that they'd be going after Turkey next. Trump says Iran deal will be signed on Sunday. Tehran denied that an agreement to end the conflict will be reached this weekend. The two nations have been engaged in talks mediated by Pakistan for more than 2 months, allowing a truce reached in early April. Negotiations came after the U.S. and Israeli state launched their operation against Iran in late February. So, you know, here we go. This is the day today. A wall to no nuclear weapon. Trump hails new Iran deal to be signed today. So, effectively, it's supposed to be signed today. President Trump hailed this deal with Iran to be signed today as a wall to no nuclear weapon. Well, they already said they weren't pursuing a nuclear weapon, but, you know, that's not enough, right? In a post on Truth Social, President Trump said the deal with Iran is the opposite of President Obama's, which he called an easy, beautiful, smooth road to a nuclear weapon, which Iran would have had 6 years ago and would have used long before now. Barack Hussein Obama's deal with Iran, the JCPOA, was an easy, beautiful, smooth road to a nuclear weapon. Yeah, because he's the one that ended that deal. He continued by noting that if the deal was signed today, the strait will be open to all. He didn't even guarantee that. He also said that his relationship with Iran is different from that of Obama. Of course it is. And no money will exchange hands. So, like everything else, though, it's a joke. You know? Tehran holds firm to red lines as Trump backpedals from escalation threat. You know, of course, you know, because this was published on the 11th of June, right? Trump pledged very hard strikes on Iran hours before claiming a deal with the Islamic Republic had been reached. So, deal's supposed to be signed later today, so we'll see. We will see. Iran and Israeli state pause strikes as Israel bombs Lebanon. How do they stop? Oh, because they're not bombing Iran, but they could bomb Lebanon, even though Lebanon was part of the deal. Iran and Israeli state exchanged fire for the first time since the April ceasefire after Israeli warplanes bombed Beirut on Sunday. So, actually, this is a lot older. Yeah. So, we'll just see. You know, we'll just wait and see, right? And like everything else, though, you know, more than meets the eye, right? You know, because there's the truth about the Iran deal. And Slovakia that I will not be able to upload to Odyssey. Let's just see if this has even got there. Yeah, see? It's still frozen in time, so until they fix that. But nonetheless, though, you know. Well, get some scriptures here before I close this out. Yeah. First, we'll start with 1 Thessalonians chapter 1, right? Verse 2. Verse 1 and 2. And 3. I got to get into this, right? Now concerning how and when all this will happen, dear brothers and sisters, we have no need that we write unto you. For you know quite well the day of the Lord's return will come unexpectedly like a thief in the night. You know, nobody's going to be expecting him, right? But those that have been in labor, you know, that have been doing this work, will be expecting. When people are saying everything is beautiful and secure, right? Everything's peaceful and secure, then disaster will fall on them as suddenly as a pregnant woman labor pains begin. And there will be no escape. And again, Apostle Tar was getting into the birth pains, right? You know? So like everything else, though, you know, you know, verse 6, key word. So be on your guard, not asleep like the others. Stay alert and be clear-headed, you know. Hey, measuring the time diligently, right? But let us who live in the light be clear-headed, protected by the armor of faith and love, and wearing as a helmet of confidence in our salvation. And it leads me to 2nd Esdras. Let me get that. So back in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, and here's 2nd Esdras chapter 9. He answered me then, and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs past, which I have told thee before, Most High told us what was going to happen, right? Then thou shalt well understand that it is the very same time wherein the Highest will begin to visit the world in which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, you're hearing about the rumor of the big earthquake coming to California, you've seen earthquakes everywhere, and you're seeing uproars of the people worldwide, And thou shalt well understand that the Most High spoke of these things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like all that is made in the world, hath the beginning and end, and the end is manifest. The end of Esau Edom, but the beginning of the building of house of David, and the beginning of the new heaven and the new earth. Even so, of the times of the highest have plain beginnings and wonderful wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. And everyone that shall be saved shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby you have believed, and shall be preserved from the said perils. So that's why, I can honestly say this, that's why I didn't get hit with that fire, and that's why, I was also spared from a lot of other fires. I was also spared from the car fire. Man, that could have fucking taken us. That could have taken the whole home and everything. It was that close. So I've been spared from quite a few fires. But yet the Most High found a way, and I didn't even have to evacuate, even though a couple of blocks down from the car fire, the place of Buenaventura, I was not too far from that. But the Most High, showed me that I would escape. A lot of people got judged in that car fire. And shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. So like everything else, Most High is going to protect his elect. We're going to go through some trials. I'm going through some trials right now. But at the end, I know that if I keep persevering, I'm going to be spared. Even if I have to die on this side, die in this faith. Well, that's only temporary. Because Esau's kingdom is just about done, and we're seeing the beginning of the new kingdom, the new heaven and the new earth. So, got one more here before I close this out. Then I want to say Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Hashem Rakakadash, Wa Abal. Brakatam Yehovah elect. The truth behind the so-called peace deal. And what's in it.
Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and we're all hearing all this stuff about this imminent Iran deal. Now, of course, if you've been watching me for, the last 10 or 15 years, you know that these deals are often giant psyops. Now, not everything's a psyop, right, Josh? I know, of course not. But when you look at the details of this Iran deal and the allowances given to Israel with it and everything, it's easy to surmise that this is the latest pile of BS that we're supposed to eat up. And by the way, I know, Josh, you're being black-pilled again? Well, I have to be realistic. I have to tell the truth, and we're going to go into some of this today as Trump announces peace deal with Iran will be signed tomorrow amid his 80th birthday celebration, sparking furious denial from Tehran. Interesting that Tehran is saying this isn't true. Trump announces the Iran deal expected to be signed Sunday or moves straight to reopen immediately after. Okay, that's wishful thinking. We've heard that 39 times already. Trump says the Iran deal set for Sunday, but Tehran has yet to confirm. Now, I want to point out that we have indeed actually seen 39 times now the Trump administration say that they have a deal with Iran. 39 times. And every single time I said it's nonsense or that it'll give in eventually, people go, Josh, you're being so negative. Why are you being so negative? Because I like reality more than, this theater, this television show called politics. And I'm just being realistic because it affects all of us. Because the end goal remains the same. The 7-country plan is still in place. The Greater Israel Project is still in place. And while we see some positives about the Iran deal starting to show up in unexpected places, with Israeli security sources saying that army is prepared to halt its ground operations in Lebanon, we see Trump saying that if Iran doesn't sign the deal immediately, he'll nuke it. And of course, we have more information on collaborations with Israel and what their part of the deal actually is, as people protest in Tehran against the deal as well. Now, we're going to get into this more, but we all know that the end goal is technocracy food rations and, of course, a poisoning of us. Our food supply is pushed back from Tehran. The president said on Saturday the proposed agreement will see the Strait of Hormuz immediately open to all, as well as an end to months of conflict and global instability. The vital waterway has been blockaded since the U.S. took out Iran's supreme leader in targeted strikes, which kicked off the war on February 28th, though one should also mention how the May, June 2025 attacks play into this as well, or going back to 1953 in the military coup. But anyway, it says if achieved, the peace deal would hand Trump a major diplomatic win on the same day he is set to ring in his 80th birthday with a UFC event he is staging at the White House. Bread and circuses, my friends. But Tehran denied the alleged timeline, saying they are well aware of the events on Sunday and they believe that Trump is attempting to capitalize on the symbolism of the day. The Islamic Revolution Guard Corps, which I have to stop for a second. UFC event, 80th birthday, Iran deal. They're literally telling you it's theater, my friends. They are telling you that this is theater. This is literally idiocracy. I mean it when I say literally. I'm not just throwing around literally in a undefined way or undefined manner. The reality is that in the movie Idiocracy, they have professional wrestlers running the government, essentially. We have UFC on the White House lawn. Oh, well, what are you, some, TDS, loser, liberal? No, I'm very much against the left. As people know, I'm against the idea of this collectivist paradigm we call the left-right paradigm. It's just that this symbolism is so blatantly clear that they're basically saying, hey, excuse me, sorry, but we are actually just doing a script. We're playing a script. This is all a movie. This is all theater. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, it says IRGC, slammed Trump's unusual insistence on signing the agreement Sunday and suggested that the president planned to have the deal coincide with his birthday, CNN reported. Some observers believe his insistence may have been driven by a desire to use the occasion symbolically and turn it into a personal publicity event. The group said in a post on Telegram. The president shared the latest update on the negotiations on Truth Social on Saturday afternoon. And I'm going to mention some of that in a moment. But we have all this news, and now we can all let down our guard, sit on our hands. See, it was all 5D chess. Like, first
We're
of all,
not in darkness, are we?
A little bit on the war for a month or so, maybe even a slight bit longer, only to then come in again and continue the conquest in the Middle East, which is not going to end anytime soon, obviously, just so that they can clear up some time to go after Cuba and clear up some time to continue their uses of force against Mexico and other parts of the world, possibly Greenland. I don't doubt that. Trump shared an image of him and Kim Jong-un today on Truth Social, so one might ask what was the symbolism there, or is he just being nostalgic? Lots of questions, don't really have an answer, but we know the long-term goal here as the Iran deal may be starting to show up in unexpected places. As I mentioned earlier, the Israeli security sources say the army is preparing to halt its ground operations in Lebanon as part of the agreement being finalized between Washington and Tehran. That doesn't mean Israel is packing up and reportedly plans to keep holding its buffer zone in southern Lebanon, with that issue expected to be discussed during the talks. This increasingly looks less like an Iran-only deal and more like a broader regional arrangement. Now, let's pause for a second there. This is going to always end in Israel's favor. And I'll explain some examples that, like, we've recently reported on Iran accusing Israel of false flags. Stu Peters posted this. Trump says, and I quote, "We look forward to working with Iran. Hopefully this process works out quickly, easily, and smoothly. If it doesn't, we have the ultimate alternative, hopefully never to be used again." Trump just threatened to nuke Iran if they don't sign a deal tomorrow. He's done that multiple times already. And that's diplomacy, apparently.